All right, it's about time. Man, there's a lot of echo in here. All right, let's get everything situated. Anybody home? All right, looks like we're getting a couple people in. Greetings, friends. Hope everybody's doing well tonight. I'd like to start by apologizing for my extremely late start. I've been stuck in traffic trying to get out of Miami for the past hour and a half, just about, or that's what it feels like anyway. What I'm doing right now, which you might not be able to see, is trying to navigate to this stream so that I can check my comments. I want to make sure that I can speak to you guys in real time. Along with answering some of those questions on my Q&A video I did a couple of weeks back. So let's get right into that. All right. Saint, hey baby to yourself. Somebody not sure, old friend. Good evening. Dark Waters, my main man, what's up, sir? And Deadly. Okay. Shells, Dark Pasta. Commentarization. Cool. Greetings, everybody. All right, so I'm gonna basically, let me see if I can share this screen with you guys so you can see what I'm doing. Apologize for the echo as well. There's quite a bit of echo in this room that I happen to be in right now. It's kind of a short notice arrangement here. Actually, in a completely empty room, save for two antique looking armchairs. Actually makes for a pretty perfect scene for what we have tonight. All right. So, the first portion of this situation we have here is going to be me going through you guys' comments that you left, the questions that you left me on my Q&A lead-up video that I did on June 10th, which, spoiler alert, that was my birthday. So let's see what we got. Are you guys all seeing this properly, and do I sound okay? All right, okay, I see that. Somebody not sure, were you talking to me when you said I sound great? I hope you were, because I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to sound coming over to you guys. Okay. First up, my first memorable dream. If you guys, oh, thank you for the happy belated birthday wishes. I appreciated the commentarization. Thank you very much. Barnaby Collins' house. I'm going to have to look that one up, Dark. I would assume it's one of your videos, which I unfortunately haven't seen yet. You know I watch most of your videos. It's okay. Thank you, somebody not sure. I appreciate that. Thanks for the sound check. All right. An old friend of mine, Hope Lee, which you might remember from one of my earlier videos. She was the subject of the ghost cat scenario that I recounted to you guys. So, my first memorable dream, I'm not going to bore you with all the gory details because it's actually the subject of my very first video I ever posted on this channel. It's the dream in which, if you haven't seen it, I won't spoil it for you, but it was also the first time I actually died in a dream and was able to experience not only death, but the after effects of it. I'll leave the rest up to either your imagination if you don't want to look at the video, or if you go back to the earliest video on my timeline there, it was my very first upload. It's called My Dreams Number One, The First Death. You'll see what I mean in great detail there. You might note that my style has changed over the past several months that it's been since I made that video, but I still like it. Konata Izumi, do you have a favorite movie, book, author, or video game? I don't have much time for gaming ever since I started YouTube, honestly, but my favorite movie, I did say there's The Matrix and Fight Club. There's so many reasons I can't even really get into it. Thank you, Shells, for the happy birthday, and the same for Dark Pasta and Sio Wolf. I appreciate that, folks. Thanks very much. I had a great time. I was actually visiting some family that day, and went out to a little place called Manhattan in New York. It's where I spent a good portion of my birthday this year. Okay, my favorite movie, yes, The Matrix. When I saw it, it was breathtaking to me. I had no idea. The first time I saw it was on DVD. I never saw any commercials about it. I never knew anything about it at all. I was with my cousins in my uncle's bedroom at my grandmother's house. We have kind of a younger uncle. And we all sat and watched it. And I'd never heard word one about The Matrix. And it completely blew my mind. It was totally transcendent of any other film experience I'd had at the time. And it left an impression on me that carries through to this day. I've seen the movie probably at least 50 times straight through. And it's one of those things that I can have playing in the background if I'm doing work somewhere else or doing something. Having The Matrix playing just kind of is a comfort to me. The same with the movie Fight Club. And if anybody hasn't seen this movie, you probably haven't. It's a movie called Layer Cake, starring Daniel Craig before he was James Bond. That's another one of my favorites. It's a British film, extremely good. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. But as far as favorite book author, my favorite book might be Salem's Lot, Stephen King. Very much enjoyed that. Kind of took me to that world there. Video game, I really can't think of it right now because I hardly ever have a chance to play video games. Either I'm working at my actual job or I'm working on YouTube. I'm writing or I'm recording or editing. So that's where most of my free time goes. Okay. Mr. King or Mrs. King. I really can't. I don't know. Diokboki, maybe? Diokboki King. What do you believe is the origin of fear? As in a person's loss of control, etc. Alternate question. Really enjoy your artwork for the videos. Okay. The origin of fear. That's something that it's really hard to explain because I'm not a psychologist. I don't really understand the origin of fear for everyone. I don't think that there's a blanket statement that could cover that. I mean, it's really dependent on who you are and your upbringing and what your experience has been in life. I bet some people don't know fear until a specific moment comes upon them in life that really establishes what that is. For some, it's the first time they ever lay eyes on a clown. For others, it's seeing one of their parents gunned down in front of them. It's a very deep and complex issue there. Oh, well, look at that. Shells, I kind of answered your question already. What's my favorite book? We'll go with Salem's Lot. Ender's Game was extremely good as well, though. Okay, the artwork for my videos. I'm not sure how often I talk about this, but I draw all of the artwork that you see on my channel. Anything you see visually on my channel, it's something that I made or I drew myself, basically. So what I do is I go into Photoshop and I draw something that's indicative of whatever the subject matter is of that particular video. One day I plan on having maybe a stream if I'm in a more comfortable location, such as my actual little makeshift recording studio in the back room of my house. I'll actually sit down and draw a picture for an upcoming video so that you guys can see the entire process from start to finish. Hopefully, it takes me about an hour to an hour and a half usually. And I would absolutely love to show you guys the entire process from point A to point B. Starting from the initial concept, I can talk about what the video is actually entailing and then how I plan to portray that in a concise way. All right. Dylan asks some questions. There's several questions here. Favorite type of music or band? What military base was I stationed at? Favorite type of horror story? Favorite sport? Favorite video game? I really have to spend some time and think about this video game issue here because it seems to be a point of interest. If one dawns on me, I'll get back to you on that. Favorite type of music or band? That's a really hard question. I really do like. I like a lot of different types of music nowadays. It's really hard to put my finger on as well. I like Major Lazer for sure. That's one of them. But I also like a lot of old school hip hop as well. Some electronica, maybe a little bit of what you might call techno. The only music that I really don't get into at all, I like some rock. I really don't enjoy country music. Just does not speak to me for whatever reason. And if you're a country music fan, I honestly don't mean to offend you. If you get offended by that, then that's really none of my concern. Moving on. Military base I was stationed at. As some of you might know, there are certain aspects of my past that I'm keeping sort of cloudy and mysterious. I don't want everything to be revealed all at once. And unfortunately, if I were to, I'll tell you like this. In many of my videos, scattered throughout videos that I've written, videos that I made up, videos that really happened, videos that are about me that you may or may not know are about me, these things, all the elements of my life are hidden amongst those videos. And the more clues that I give you straight up verbally when asked, the more likely you're going to be able to connect those dots. And I'm not quite ready for you to do that just yet. So, if I were to tell you what military base I was stationed at, one of the many, basically any one of the many military bases I've been to, it would actually be a huge tip. So, I can't reveal that just yet. Sorry. Okay. Okay, over here on the live chat. Hello, phobia. You are noticed. Have I ever had any Dogman or Bigfoot experience? Bigfoot. Okay, that's from George Mihail. I hope I pronounced that name right. Bigfoot experience, no, I have not, personally, thankfully. And honestly, Dogman, I had an experience over in Afghanistan that at the time, I had never heard of the Dogman before. I had no idea about the existence of the Dogman. And the person who enlightened me on that was Dark Waters, I've become pretty good friends with Dark Waters at this point. We've worked together a lot. He's the one who provided the Bigfoot interview for which I wrote the story for the Bigfoot Bonanza, which was an awesome series of Bigfoot events that I participated in. Dark Waters was at the helm with that. And I think he and the Vault of Nightmares did a really great job. And if you haven't seen those, you guys should definitely check those out, by the way. But that was not my personal experience with the Bigfoot. However, when I kind of crossed paths with Dark Waters, he reached out to me and we become friends over the past few months. It was he that taught me about what the Dogman is. And he told me about some of the Dogman stories that he's come across in his investigations. And that's when it dawned on me that the situation that I observed when I was in Afghanistan was actually seemed to be an attack by two dogmen on an individual. And I have a video about that on my channel, which you can feel free to take a look at. I'm pretty happy with it. So if you want to know about my experience of the dogmen, that would be it. It's the second video of two. I'm sorry, not the second video, the second story in my Dogman Encounters video. All right, I'll get back to this question from SK Jones. Let's see. Smokey's waiting to see black bears. Any scary bear encounters? I did go camping in Canada one time last year or the year before, one of those years. And one of my brothers lives up there. They go camping every year out in the mountains. And I was waiting the entire time to see a bear, and I never did. The thing is that they say that every time someone comes camping for the first time, they see a bear. And unfortunately, I was not one of those people. I didn't adhere to those rules. However, there was this weird thing that happened in the middle of the night one night. Everyone was kind of woken up because there was this bizarre cry coming from the woods. And we couldn't figure out what it was. It sounded almost like a lost cub maybe, but there was just something different about it, something off. So me and my two brothers, or I should say my two brothers and I, we were kind of perhaps seen as for whatever reason, the people that were supposed to go out and make sure that the camp was safe, because there were many, many people with us. Several different families worth of men, women, and children, all ages. So the three of us were basically tasked to go out into the woods and make sure that whatever creature was out there wouldn't make it to our camp. And we got the park rangers involved, and we never did figure out who exactly or what exactly was out there. Kind of just faded away after a while. Maybe it was on the move. I don't know. Excuse me. All right. Let's go back to the questions from the Q&A video for a second here. Well, thank you very much. You say I have a great voice, Willful, today. I appreciate that compliment very much. This is basically my regular speaking voice when I am trying to be low key and I'm making sure not to speak too loudly or get too enthusiastic. I can get pretty riled up depending on what I'm talking about. Not in an angry way, but just a little bit more enthusiasm. And that wouldn't be quite as pleasant to listen to. Trust me. Mad Claw, old friend of mine. And by old friend, when I say old friend, if I reply to somebody in comments saying old friend or something like that, that means it's just somebody old school that's been watching my videos since early days. And I appreciate those guys very much. I appreciate every single one of you, obviously, but there's a special place in Mr. X's heart for the old school ride or die viewers and loyal subscribers, watchers, listeners, dreamers. I especially enjoy interacting with them. And you know what? The crazy thing is, the longer I do this, the more of you end up being granted that status. You're somebody who comments, you're somebody who talks to me on Twitter or Instagram even. You end up establishing kind of a presence in my mind for who you are and the kinds of things that you say to me. And I appreciate that. So from the bottom of my heart, I'm not going to try to name all of you because I know I would forget someone and that would break my heart. But I thank each and every one of you guys, especially the OG subscribers that have been with me since the beginning even. Thank you guys very much because you do a lot of service for me. You shared my videos, you guys always comment, and that helps me a lot. And for anyone, if this is your first time hearing my voice, if you've never heard me speak before and you like what you hear now, welcome to my world. And thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. I hope my work is pleasing to you. Somebody not sure. Thank you for the compliment about my artistry. Okay, anyway, back to Mad Claw's comment. My thoughts on paranormal investigation. I think that investigating paranormal activity is a very important part of being human. It's a very touchy subject because it's so far beyond our current level of understanding that there's really certain areas of it that we'll just probably never know. Anyone who's listening now or anyone who's even alive today will most likely die not knowing the answers to these crazy questions. Shadow people, dogmen. You wonder sometimes if these things will ever come out into the light and just be widely known for all people to hear and see. It's a great question in my mind. I really don't know the answer to it. My family and I being sensitive to things that are out of the ordinary. it seems like some people are kind of just maybe magnets to bizarre, difficult to explain things. And what it's like is you're living your life every day. Most days, 99% of all days are normal. But, you know, when you're 30, 40, 50 years old, by the time you get to that point in life, you look back and you're like, man, I have a lot of bizarre experiences. I've seen this weird, bizarre thing that I can't explain. I've seen that thing a few years later. A couple of years later, I saw this thing. And it goes on and on. Things of all different types, all kinds of experiences involving different entities, shadows, ghosts, nightmares, dreams, sometimes cryptids, aliens. There's a story that, if I have time a little bit later on during this stream, maybe if somebody reminds me before I go, I'll tell it. I also might make a video on it one day, so I'm not sure if I'm going to tell it today, but if you guys really want to hear it, I'll let you know. It's one of my earlier really weird experiences that kind of made me aware that things are not always as they seem, and we definitely don't understand everything about this world. So if you want to hear that, if a couple of you guys ask for it, I will oblige. I've never told this story publicly. Annabaz, hello, my friend. And Deadly, yes. I definitely asked Deadly Horror 101, another friend of mine. I asked him for a little bit of advice because I know that he does a lot of streams as well. So I said, hey, I've never streamed before. And Deadly helped me out a little bit. So thanks a lot, brother. Annabaz, I'm glad that I'm not alone in my, I don't want to say disdain for country music, but it just doesn't, I respect it sometimes, as long as it's not the stereotypical tropes of, you know, jeans painted on tight, or dead dogs, or cheating spouses. Anything other than that, I do, I can at least appreciate. XWEH. I cannot pronounce that. But yes, I do live on Earth most of the time. Hello, Mr. Hang Glider Man. I need to catch up with these. X Chemical. Hello, sir. Well, somebody not sure thanks me for my service. The pleasure was mine, sometimes. Was not always a pleasure, but thank you. Sio Wolf. Do not mention Keemstar on my stream. All right. Keep going down. Mr. Hang Glider Man, what race am I? It's a complicated question. I have many different kinds of blood running through my veins, but if you were to look at me, you would call me a black man, in case anybody was wondering. That's about enough of that, I think. It really is that simple. Okay. Diopoki King. Terribly interesting and disturbing, dogmen being common in Afghanistan. I really don't know how common it is, but I've seen more than one incident that could be construed as dogmen, and while I was there, and I was only there. I've been there for a total of maybe 2 years, and it was really, if I saw two incidents in 2 years over there, I can only imagine. I've never seen any of it in the United States, so that's just crazy. That must mean that there's something going on over there, and I'm not qualified to speculate on it. Dark Waters, you stopped your recording to hang out with me. I appreciate that. It's good to have your support. The commentarization, sleep paralysis. I have had some cases of sleep paralysis in my life. And one of them is coming out in a video that I'm doing in collaboration with unit number 522. And the other is part of that story that I may tell you guys tonight. My favorite cryptid, X Chemical. My favorite cryptid would have to be the one that's most fascinating to me is indeed the dog man, because I have a very deep connection with canines, which I've actually never explained to you guys just yet, but I guarantee you I'll be getting into it very soon. The most you've probably heard of that so far is in the second video I ever posted called The Last Man, where I had an encounter with a gigantic talking wolf. That encounter is very important in my psyche, and it is also very telling as to some of the underlying elements of who I am deep down inside. So keep that in mind, and you'll learn a lot more about it soon. Lady Spook, thank you very much for that compliment. I do try my best to speak eloquently and to speak clearly. I know there's all kinds of different people listening, and I don't want to confuse anybody. This is actually becoming I kind of like doing the live questions more than I like going back and looking at the previous ones, but I will get to some of those as well. And rest assured, this won't be the last time I do this live stream. This is actually pretty fun, and I feel a lot less nervous than I thought I would. I feel a lot more fluid than I was anticipating. Is that right, Dark Pasta? Your paw said he encountered a Rougarou, or Loup-garou, some would say, a werewolf. Send me a message about that, Dark Pasta. I'm interested. And Rainer, another friend of mine, Beatles or Rolling Stones. I've never heard a Beatles song that I really enjoyed, so I'd have to say Rolling Stones by default. Anna, the Bonanza. Luckily for you, there's plenty of videos up there on YouTube. I'm sure if you type in Bigfoot Bonanza, start with Dark Waters' entries, and then I came in shortly after that, and then there's another couple by the name of the Nightmare Vault. They have several videos up as well. They were a lot more active in that series than I was. They did a great job. X Chemical, I'm glad you're here too. Very much. Shells, you are far too kind. I really don't know if this is the best live stream ever, but I'm glad you think so. You wouldn't happen to be drinking right now, would you? Just curious. All right. So let's get back to these questions. Yeah, this is a very creaky floor. I wonder what the image in your guys' mind is right now as far as where I am. creaky wooden floor, completely empty room, save for a size 15 pair of combat boots sitting in the middle of the floor, two antique armchairs, one of which I'm sitting in, and the other is holding my computer and my microphone. It's kind of a funny picture if you think about it that way. But if you remove the computer and the microphone, and maybe the combat boots, that might be a little bit more creepy. Navicast 87, my loyal acolyte. The Dark Ones. Have I ever heard of them? I can't say that I have. Out-of-body experiences, realm walk, astral projection. As far as I know, I have not had I don't know if it would be a pleasure or a horror, but I have not had such an experience as out-of-body or astral walking, other than in my dreams, of course. But one of my uncles has a long history of astral projection, and he even has some stories that link back into the real world as far as people and things happening to people that he observes while astral traveling that is later confirmed through other sources. So stay tuned for that. I'll be interviewing him. I've been saving that because that story is kind of a doozy. So I've been kind of saving it in my back pocket. And honestly, I really have been so caught up with subscriber stories and accounts coming in. And I can't thank you guys enough for that, because without you, I would basically run out of original material to post. Because as you guys know, I get my material, I get my stories mostly nowadays from you. It goes from my subscriber stories in terms of the volume of information that I get, and the output, the content of my videos, from most to least. Subscriber stories that you guys send me, and then stories that I write out of my own head, which, those are obviously the most time consuming to do. And then thirdly, real experiences that I or my family members have had, even dreams and nightmares and things like that. So I am very dependent on you guys for helping me out with that. Sending me stories and putting people in contact with me that have bizarre experiences. So yes, you'll be hearing some realm walking stories from me in the near future. You can ignore any background sounds here. There's appears to be a few other people in the area. So if you hear anything other than my voice, just tune it out. Pretend like I'm the only one here. If you have headphones on, it's just me and you in your head. Tammy Jean, what was I afraid of as a child? That is an interesting question, one which, you know what? What was I afraid of? I guess I was afraid of lots of things. I was definitely afraid of gigantic wild animals, but one of my greatest fears, and actually is the same to this day, have you ever Have you ever been in a body of water and seen a gigantic dark figure beneath you? Whatever it is, just a dark, shadowy figure. Could be a whale or a shark or anything. That's one of my greatest fears. Being in water and having something gigantic directly beneath me. My other greatest fear, and it's been this way for many years, doppelgangers. The idea of another person who looks exactly like you, wanting nothing more than to infiltrate and take over your life. That is, the very idea of that is terrifying to me. I'll tell you a quick story about that, actually. One day, my brother and I used to go to the same community college down here in South Florida. I was in between classes, and I used to kind of meet up with my brother for a little bit and hang out in the courtyard. And one day, I'm walking up to him. He has this ghostly look on his face. He says to me, calls me by name, a name which you guys don't know, so I won't use it. But he says, "Who's that?" His eyes are glassed over and he's staring across the courtyard over to the building where I would be heading next. And standing next to a bench where I normally sit is a man who looks exactly like me. He's the same height, complexion, eye color, everything. And I can see this from maybe 20 to 25 yards away. And my first instinct when I see him, someone who appears to be something akin to a doppelganger, is to confront him. So, without saying another word to my brother, I walk, cut through the grass, and I go straight toward the doppelganger. I don't know what's going to happen when I get to him, but I have a feeling that only one of us will be walking away alive. As I'm walking, large numbers of people start to crisscross on the sidewalk between he and I. And within literally just 2 seconds of me losing sight of him, he completely vanishes. The man was dressed exactly like I would dress. He was standing in a place where I frequently stood. He seemed to be trying to be me, trying to pass himself off to the untrained eye. To anyone who only had a vague and passing knowledge of who I am, they would easily mistake him for me. And worst of all, he had the same face. It was so bizarre, so frightening to me. I was filled with unease, and I honestly got a little bit upset when he vanished. I have no idea how that happened. You might see why I wouldn't have made a video about this because it's such a short little encounter, but that's the story. And by the way, that story might have been a little slow, but I was just saying it off the top of my head. I didn't write that. I actually didn't even think about that. I haven't thought about it for years. But when I read this question, it really It really brought me back there. Okay, a couple more quick questions from here. Where have I traveled? I've been to the Bahamas. I've been to Afghanistan. And other than that, I've just been around the country in the military. I'm not in the military anymore, if anybody's curious about that. When did I start writing? Actually, I just started writing majorly right before I made this channel, which was my first video was December of last year, 2015. And that was the first time I really got into writing. Before that, my brothers and I used to do kind of chain emails where we would be writing long chapters of kind of an epic adventure series where I would write one and then one of my brothers would write one, then the other. And whatever we did in the story, the next person basically had to deal with that scenario. And it was a very fun, very rewarding exercise. All right, let's see. How many do we have here? We got quite a few. We can move on though. I got time. Koneko Meow Meow. Here's my question. Alzheimer's and dementia story is true, but there's no mention that it's a subscriber's story. Did this happen to you personally? When I read this question, I was very proud of Meow Meow. I think that is a most excellent question to ask. It's a subtle hint. And I'm not going to give a definitive answer, but there are grains of truth hidden in that story. The story itself is very true. And if you listen to it very closely, you might learn a thing or two about mr.xdreams. The character, of course. I'm not some weirdo who refers to himself in the third person. It's not a quality I enjoy. Zippity doodah. Someone who I've spoken to extensively in emails. Thanks for leaving that comment here. Let's see what you got. Have I had a lot of paranormal experiences that led me to creating this channel like Dark Waters? Yes. And one of them I just kind of told you guys about, and the other I will probably get into toward the end of the stream. And yes, I know you are very much on the sensitive side. I can't answer the clairvoyance question because that would be a spoiler for one of my other videos if any of the listeners right now haven't seen it. So we'll move on. Yeah. Thanks for your comment, DB Cooper. Straying off script I actually have no script for this, and it is quite liberating. It's really really refreshing, really nice to just be able to get on the microphone and talk to you guys. And the interaction that I'm getting is very nice. I appreciate it very much. And wow. I've just seen the comments updated. I'm kind of reading your comments on my phone, so it did not update for quite a while. So sorry about that, guys. I haven't just been ignoring you for some reason. Oh, the Grim Reader, old friend. He played the voice of the Flat Man in one of my earlier videos. Nice to have you here, sir. Very talented reader. Very talented indeed. If you guys haven't, by the way, any of these creators in this chat, if you guys see any names, these are all people that you should be paying attention to. If you see someone you don't recognize or you're not already subscribed to, give them a listen. Trust me, you won't be disappointed. Dinah Matt Lancer, hello to you too. Thanks for dropping by. Okay, what about me and Unit? There's certain people that I have special relationships with. Let's Read. If you guys know Let's Read, he was the first person to actually believe in me, believe in my voice when I first started with YouTube. He afforded me the opportunity of my first ever collaboration. And I'm forever indebted to him for that. I'll always appreciate his willingness to work with me in the earliest of my days. And soon after him came Mad Mike. If you guys don't know about Let's Read and Mad Mike, I highly recommend you open up another tab in your browser, search for them, and go subscribe. Because they're not on here right now, but they're really good. They're really good storytellers. Dark Waters is another old school friend of mine, and so is Unit number 522. Among the four of them, those are probably the people I've worked with the most. I recently did I did some work with the Grim Reader, excellent narrator. I had the Twisted Children's Tales, episode 3. And if you don't know what that is, I'll explain it to you in a second. But episode 3, I had Stephanie Swan Quills, Dr. Creepin Van Pasta, and Eden all read lines for me playing certain characters, which was phenomenal. I'm so happy with how that played out. But the Twisted Children Tales series that I have, I basically take a children's tale and retell it in a much darker, much grittier way. And it's basically the way I write it is like a mystery. So you have to kind of, before the video is over, because eventually it gets revealed, but before the video is over, I want you to try to guess what story this is adapted from. And if you haven't seen them, I quite enjoyed writing them, and I think I think they came out pretty well. So give those a look if you haven't seen them. Is it difficult to keep up my persona? Certain similarities between who I am and Mr. X, the character. Actually, mr.xdreams, and I might have mentioned this before, maybe on Twitter, but I've been Mr. X for a long, long time. I just haven't had a YouTube channel until recently. Mr. X is very close to my heart, and it's not just a persona. It's not just a character. It's part of who I am. It's basically my innermost voice, the most pure version of who I am, spiritually, emotionally, mentally. I get to be this person whenever you hear my voice online, and I really appreciate that. But it's really not much different from who I am every day. The line is very blurry. Dark Pasta. I do not, under any circumstances, want to come face to face with a dog man, nor would I like to be attacked by one. But I have this bizarre feeling that if I ever did come face to face with a dog man, it would really, the situation wouldn't quite play out the way you'd think. Because of this deep connection that I have with canines, I think that might play a role in how it plays out. Who knows what would happen, though? All right, let's see. I'm trying to keep up with these comments that you guys have been doing. Okay, King says, I'm not going to try to pronounce that name anymore. First of all, Missed Advance, thank you very much. I think you are awesome as well. Matter of fact, I'm not anywhere close to as awesome as the folks that are in this live chat right now. You guys are really making me feel welcome. You're making me feel like this is worthwhile and that people are listening. And I'm not just here speaking to nobody, which that's fine. If I want to speak to nobody, I can do that without crouching in front of a computer and a microphone. But it's really nice to know that people are listening and, you guys are enjoying this time. We're all kind of hanging out together and it's a lot of fun for me. This is the first time I've ever done such a thing. And it's really feels great. So, King, the Dreamer follow-up stories. The characters were great. Thank you very much. I'm glad that you guys enjoyed the Dreamer. And funny story, real quick. I actually took the script of the Dreamer and I condensed it into one big supercut with the entire story. And I tried bringing it to a writer's conference just to see what would happen. And oddly enough, I got laughed out of the room. They hated it. Apparently, writers are a different breed than the audience that I have on YouTube. And it makes sense because it's different when you have sound effects and you have someone reading it out loud and performing the roles to you. And especially when you kind of have an idea of what to expect and what's going on. You have to approach writing in a totally different way. And that's something I didn't know at the time. It was honestly it was almost hurtful how that happened. Within 2 sentences, they were kind of like, they were done with it. And it was comical how badly they reviewed it. But in my mind, I was thinking, you know what? I'm not meant for that world. So I'm going to move on and I'm going to keep doing the thing that I do know how to do. And that's write for videos. And I'm very glad that you guys enjoyed it, that you guys gave it a chance and are even looking forward to the next one. And there will be at least 2 more series that will deeply tie in to the Dreamer. There's going to be my next major story series is going to be, I'm going to try to have it release at least mostly complete instead of having, 2 episodes a week or something like that. I want to probably just work on it until it's basically like an audiobook and then release that and release it in chapters all at once, almost like Netflix style. And there's going to be one that's it's going to seem to be unrelated, but it won't be. And then in the 3rd series, those 2 will come together in a really amazing way that's also going to tell you a lot about who I am. Because, believe it or not, there's so much truth hidden within the pages of the Dreamer. It'll all be much clearer pretty soon. The commentarization asks, who's my favorite YouTube horror narrator besides myself? I am not my favorite narrator, but see, you made me laugh. You're making me break character. Commentarization. Thank you very much. Now the entire world has heard Mr.xdreams laugh. Well, that was more of a chuckle. It's okay, though. I forgive you. Don't worry. My favorite narrator. That's a hard question. And you know what? I'm not going to name a favorite narrator because that might make some people feel weird. But I will tell you, the narrators that I actually make time to listen to frequently because in my work I drive a lot, and I always kind of need something to listen to. I listen to Stephanie Swan Quills a great deal. I listen to Dr. Creepin Van Pasta. I listen to Let's Read, Mad Mike, Unit 522, and Dark Waters. I listen to Dark Waters a lot because he does this thing at the end of his videos where he calls it Inside Baseball, where he kind of talks to people. I think I mentioned this in the Q&A video. He talks to people, and it's almost like you're just hanging out talking to him. I told him before, when he does that, it's like as if I was in a coffee shop or something and I heard people talking about, or I heard him talking the way he talks in that, I would sit in that coffee shop until he left, even if I wasn't a part of the conversation, because it's very interesting. The things that he says and the experiences that he gets while investigating all this paranormal activity, it's very interesting, and it's enjoyable to listen to. So I spend a lot of time listening to those folks, and there's a couple others as well that I haven't named. The Grim Reader is definitely getting back into the rotation on my playlist as well. All great people, and there's even if certain other narrators I get into as well sometimes, but not quite as often as the rest. I listen to Eden sometimes as well. All right. And if you're a narrator that knows me and I didn't name you, trust me, I do listen to your stuff sometimes, but maybe it's just the frequency of the uploads or the subject matter. I don't listen to every single video from every other person because honestly, I wouldn't have time to work on my own videos if that was the case. But, I love each and every one of you as if you were my own family. So don't get mad at me. All right, let's see. Ruben Flores, you're a big fan. Well, I'm a big fan of you. And I'm very glad to have you here, Ruben, if that is your real name. Mary R., you are welcome for the live stream. Anna, you think this is awesome? I think this is freaking incredible. Deadly, how do I feel about other people's narration channels? Because as a narrator, you can't watch other people's narrations anymore. I just told you guys about how much I like listening to certain other narrators sometimes. And it's to each their own. I happen to have a lot of time of driving on my hands, so I make a watch later playlist and I just let that ride while I'm going about my business during the day in my professional life. I happen to have a very time consuming and physically and mentally demanding professional career that maybe one day will hopefully be phased out by YouTube if I can get what I want from it. Shells, just drinking coffee. Okay, well, maybe the stream is better than I'm giving it credit for. Thank you for your honesty. Yeah, Mary, it's I don't know, the place that I'm in right now, it is known for bizarre sounds that are inexplicable happening at random intervals during the night, and it is nighttime, so who knows? I am not in a wooden box at a desk with my eyes glowing while I read comments, but I wish that I was now that you said that. Commentarization. That sounds like it would be a good picture. And deadly, yes. If I could have a recording studio, that would be awesome. but what I have normally is just slightly echoey, way less echoey than this room, but this is a creepy empty room after all, so I can't expect too much. The dark ones. I definitely have to look that up. Give me 1 second, folks. Deadly, you have a story to give me, is that right? Well, you know how to contact me. Missed Advance, give us a hint for your next story. Let me see. At any given time, I have several stories kind of in the works. And right now, probably the top priority, I have Glitch in the Matrix stories, one of which belonged to me, and another one belongs to an old military buddy that recently contacted me. Then I have another one that's very awesome with a friend of mine that I've recently come across via Instagram, a guy I'll call Brad. 1 second, I'm gonna message him real quick to make sure that he knows that that I'm online. He's been waiting for this. He might want to know that I'm about to mention him. I call him Brad, and he basically is an individual that is part Native American, and he engaged in a ritual that was meant to turn him into some type of werewolf. And the results have been more than interesting. And I'll be telling you guys a story about that very soon. And that one is obviously I'm not big enough of a YouTuber to be able to make polls and have you guys vote on what you want to hear first, but it's going to be between those two most likely. I also have a lot of subscriber dreams to sort through that and kind of group together, and we will see how those go. Missed Advance. If you go back, I mentioned about my deepest fears. Just quickly, a recap is being in deep water with a gigantic creature or object directly below me, or even anywhere in the water in my vicinity, is absolutely terrifying to me. I don't like it. And the other one is doppelgangers. If I could reach into your mind, commentization, and narrate each and every one of your dreams every day for the rest of time, I probably would not do it. But I would definitely hook you up with a narration every so often. So just know that. King, your husband has the same fear of open water with unknown below. Being eaten alive is a very, very sensible fear. I identify with that. In fact, I would put that right up there with encountering a doppelganger. I would rather encounter a doppelganger than be eaten alive, because with a doppelganger, at least I know that I've been training my entire life to defeat him. So I think I'd take my chances with the doppelganger. Yeah, deadly. Yeah, I have a little trouble with dealing with people wanting to have me read their work. I typically read only the things that I create. Yes, Anna, that was a loud bang. Missed Advance. You are a dear friend to me. Promise me you'll never leave. Yes, I know Deadly has pretty good relationships with his friends. Maybe a little too good, if you know what I mean. Wasps and hornets, X chemical, you're going to have to think of a better greatest fear than that. And no, fear itself does not count. Commentarization. Deadly. Having no friends. Everything in this world will leave you at some point, including your friends. You have to be self-sufficient. That's my advice for you for tonight. Dark pasta. Being in a different world, I'm not sure what you mean. Explain, and I'll get back to it. Okay, let's see. Okay, you're referring to my man. How far back am I? I might have to skip ahead a little bit so that I'll be a little bit more timely with my responses to what you guys are saying. Anybody who's just coming in, welcome. Thank you very much for being here. The Hood Pope, thank you for the subscription. Welcome to my world, and I hope you enjoy yourself here. Anna, you're asking if I have any publications. I don't think so. Thank you, Deadly, for the compliment. Shells, my old friend, my favorite food. You guys might laugh, but my favorite food is the dreams of children. No, that's a joke. My favorite food is probably between hamburgers and pizza, the most stereotypically American thing you can say other than hot dogs. But I do enjoy the taste of a good burger. If anybody gets that reference, I'll be pleased. Phantom Librarian. I've been waiting for the opportunity to work with Phantom Librarian, and I sense that it's coming pretty soon. So keep your eyes peeled for that. My favorite creepy pastas. I don't. I don't know. Maybe it's just my bad memory, but I can't think of an actual single creepy pasta that I really loved. Huckabuck, Ratchet City Hero. What's up, my friend? Anna, why would you be hiding under a desk? I hope that you're comfortable down there. Make sure there are no exposed wires or electrical sockets that might pose a danger to your health. I wouldn't want that. Okay. Well, somebody not sure. I'm very glad that you enjoyed the Dreamer. It's just a matter of having something spoken and read out loud. It's a little bit different than what you would expect to be reading for the first time. You have no idea what a channel is about. When you guys heard the Dreamer for the first time, you kind of had an idea of who I was and what my objective was in this channel. So telling a story, you know, hey, I got to sit here, listen for a couple minutes, and if I don't like the story, then I can move on. If I like it, I'll watch the next chapter. But the thing about that event that I went to with the authors and everything, the writers conference, they basically want you to hook them in the first 10 words. And if you don't do that, your odds of it's almost like they just have no patience for things to get interesting, which and they want to be explained. Everything has to be explained and said a certain way and done a certain way. It's a whole other world of writing when you're writing for actual books and publishers. And that is a world that I've never had exposure to and I wasn't familiar with. And that's why. I mean, I don't have anything against them. They know their craft, and I'm getting to know mine. I think I know mine pretty well at this point. And I'm just gonna move on like that. And thank you very much, Shells. And Deadly, you're quickly approaching the 400 subscriber mark. I'm looking forward to seeing what you do in the future. Well done, my friend. All right, so let's see. I have a feeling that there might be more live chat action going on, so I'm going to try to refresh that. Man, this is cutting. Yes, may your nights be full of dreams. Somebody asked me about that recently in the comments section of a video saying, basically, hey, Mr. X, what does that mean? May your nights be full of dreams. It doesn't sound right to them, is what they said. I understand that. What that kind of evolved. I mean, you guys, some of you might know that this channel started off as a dream narration channel. I would narrate my dreams and nightmares, and that was all of my stories. My first, I think maybe 7 videos were all my own dreams and nightmares written out and read for you guys. And I was thinking, if your nights are full of dreams, if I wish that upon you and my wish comes true, then eventually you guys might have some really awesome dreams that you can then feed back to me. You can call me and say, hey, Mr. X, you told me to have nights full of dreams, and that's what I did. And let me tell you about those dreams, because I want to be in a video, and I want you to paint me like one of your French girls. And I would do so, I would oblige. And that's the reason why I did this. And it kind of just came from there. Okay, the Hood Pope. For some reason, I have a feeling you're asking me to say, what's up? But maybe in that old, late 90s way, which I will not do. So I'm sorry to disappoint you if that's what you wanted. The Immortal Technique, Sile Wolf, a legendary hip-hop entity. Okay, somebody wants a shout out. Emic Emic the Plug. There's 2 G's in there. One of those G's appears to be redundant. Emic the Plug Beats. Threw me for a loop there, sir, but shout out to you. Yes, Huckabuck, I see you've met Dark Waters. Congratulations. Oh, so Son of Anarchy, you think I'm Drew, is that right? Just because Drew is a veteran and so am I doesn't mean that I'm Drew, but now is not the time for me to reveal my true identity. So, keep holding your breath, or don't. It's really, it's entirely up to you. All right, let's see. Yes, Dark Waters, I am your guy. We don't work with too many other people. And that's right, Mr. X was in fact on Coast to Coast AM. That was a historic moment. Dark Waters did a, I don't know if you guys know this, but Dark Waters did a 4 hour long interview. He was a machine. I listened to just about the entire thing. It was from, I think it was from midnight to 4 a.m. on Eastern time, which is where I am. And that was a historical thing. No other narrator, not even the big million subscriber narrators, has managed to pull off an interview with Coast to Coast AM. That's like going on the Daily Show as a narrator. That's high level stuff. And Dark Waters was kind enough to have them play one of my recordings on there during his extended interview process there, and that was an absolute treat for me to hear. So thanks for that, Dark Waters. Shout out to Dark Waters. The doppelganger could be a clone. If the doppelganger is a clone, it better be a damn good one, because my objective in life, once I encounter this doppelganger, would be to destroy him and preserve myself and my life as I know it. But then again, that sometimes makes me wonder, what if I'm the doppelganger? That would really be something, wouldn't it? I hope I don't completely put you to sleep, Anna. I enjoy your comments here. And you're welcome, the Hood Pope. Okay, well, looks like we lost Anna. She's turning in for the night. I know it's late. Thank you for watching and listening and participating in the comments as well. Good night, my dear. Where am I from? Oh my goodness, being stuck in space is definitely a terrible one. Where am I from? Beats asks. I am from the north. That's what I'll say right now. From the northern United States of America. I don't think you can tell any traces of any accent in my voice right now, because I've spent most of my time, most of my life I've spent in Florida, and you don't really have an accent down here. Hey, good day to yourself, West Australia, Jade Ferris. Hood Pope. Earlier on in the stream, I mentioned what my favorite movie was. It's a tie between The Matrix and Fight Club. And if you want to hear about why, you can rewind a little bit back. Dark Waters, thanks a lot for visiting the stream, man. I appreciate it. Good night. Crow with I believe he has trademarked the term eargasm. It's a good term. If I had one superpower, what would it be? It would be the powers of a Green Lantern, the power to create constructs out of my own will. Because that power is very much tied to the creativity of its user. And I consider myself someone who's creative enough to wield those powers very effectively. Needless to say, that happens to also be my favorite superhero, is the Green Lantern. Well, thank you very much for you calling my voice sexy and deep. I appreciate that, Crow. Thank you. All right, let's see here. Okay, commentarization. I will call you Joe from now on. That's good to know. I wish you told me that toward the beginning, because I've been struggling with that name for a while. Somebody not sure. Your master's thesis, 50 pages. Goodness gracious. That's a lot of writing. That's probably about how long the dreamer is. The entire story is about 50 pages, maybe a little bit more. Yeah, it's about 50, maybe 60 pages, something like that. If anybody is leaving right now or going to bed right now, thank you guys so much for coming. I appreciate it. I hope to see you again on the next one. Anybody who's still around, sound off in the comments, and we'll see how long we're going to keep this going. All right, let me see. Hood Pope, what branch was I serving in the military? That is classified at this point. Not time for you guys to know that just yet. Mr. X versus my doppelganger. That would be something, wouldn't it? So, let me see here. The Hood Pope. Okay, you're in high school. You want to join the military. Why don't you send me an email, Hood Pope? You and I will talk offline, confidentially about the military. I have some advice that you might benefit from. There's a lot to that decision, and I encourage it. I think it's a good decision to make, but there's some things I'd like to tell you first. So if you're hearing this, Hood Pope, send me an email. It's mr.xdreams54@gmail.com. You and I can have a little chat about the military. If you're a young person thinking about enlisting, I might have something good to say to you. All right, King, you're working on some art. I hope you're going to let me see that somehow later. Maybe tag me in it on Instagram or Twitter or something. I'd like to see what your art looks like. All right. Shells. If I could cure a disease or create world peace, what would I choose? That's easy. I would create world peace before just about anything else, because curing one disease, that'll help a few people, but world peace would help everyone for as long as it lasts. How did I come up with my name? Oh, wow. Penny Dreadful Moment is in the house. Welcome, my dear friend. She's another one of those narrators that I really love. For some reason, her name didn't come to me earlier, but she's been a very valuable friend to me. And she actually played the voice of Elle in the final epilogue chapter of The Dreamer. If you guys haven't heard that, she did a wonderful job, and her performance was remarkable. I'm totally happy with it. So you guys can check that out. And if you're not subscribed to her, please do so, because she's truly a talented storyteller. Thank you, Shells. Midnight Masquerade. How did I come up with my name? Well, there's a long story that's actually not very interesting. And it's also not quite legal enough for me to be able to tell it to you online. But for a long time, I was called Mr. X by many people. And during the interim years between now and then, I've had so many dreams that And those dreams were basically my catapulting energy that made me want to start this channel. Being able to tell, I was thinking, okay, what are my stories? What stories do I have? The dreams were the first stories that I truly could think of that I actually had in my head. So, Mr. X is my personal favorite surname that I've gone by in my life. Of all the nicknames and all the little surnames that people have given me, Mr. X was my favorite. So, channels about dreams, Mr. X Dreams. That could be taken as in Mr. X Dreams, as in dreams being a verb, or dreams being a noun, the dreams of Mr. X. Dark Waters, Penny Dreadful Moment is someone that would definitely enhance your videos. I would definitely love to hear you guys working together. And she deserves a lot more exposure than she gets. It's people like Penny Dreadful Moment and oh, sorry, that's my phone. People like Penny Dreadful Moment and Stephanie Swan Quills, Dr. Creepin' Van Pasta. Those are all high level talents that have very, very little exposure, and I just really can't wrap my head around why that is. I'm gonna have to put my phone on vibrate right now. I can't believe I didn't think of doing that earlier. But yeah, go for it. I'm right behind you guys with that. All right, Jade, you are in the land of Oz. Is that right? Australia is close to Oz, or is Oz in Australia? Wow, I really feel like I should know that. I'm joking. Joe asks, name anyone I think would make a better president than the candidates now. One thing I will probably never do as Mr. X is any kind of political commentary. If you'd like to know who I would think would be better as a president, then maybe send me an email and I'll tell you if you promise not to publicize the information. And no, not because it's controversial, it's just something I'd rather not get into. It could be a very divisive subject. X Chemical. Early morning in England, is it? Stay forever. I can't promise I'll do the same, though. Son of Anarchy. Consider yourself shouted out. Crow. I see your transformation from mildly annoyed person to a complete devil. It's very impressive. World peace or end world hunger. Midnight masquerade. That's interesting. I would still go with world peace, because if there's world peace, most likely people are going to be in a giving enough mood to help out those who are in need, those who are hungry. All right, I think, okay, wait, Joe's got one more question. Holy crap. This is very bizarre. I'm using my phone to look at the chats, and it's kind of flipping out on me every so often. The Hood Pope. I don't know that you'd be a great president. I really don't know you at all. Oh yeah, Dark Waters, that would be awesome. Having Penny on the show, on the radio show with myself and you. That would be really cool. We will not disappoint. I think I would be a pretty good pope, but if I was the pope, a lot of things would change. I'm not going to go into that either because that would be probably just as bad, if not worse, than political commentary is religious commentary. So I'm not going to do that. Mr. X Dreams for president. Unfortunately, I don't think that I would be able to do my YouTube videos if I was the president. And YouTube videos and what I'm doing right now is the most enjoyable thing as far as things that people do. Writing my videos and performing them for you guys and seeing what you think about it, your reactions. I absolutely love it. I like it a lot more than my professional job. So I don't know if I'd give that up for a chance to be president. But thank you. I appreciate your endorsement. Smooth peanut butter. I do not like crunchy. And if I offended anybody by that, I don't care, because crunchy peanut butter is something that I find very annoying. Crow, I don't want to know why you want to burn your own country to the ground. It's not a good thing to do. I'm sure there are plenty of innocent people there. Don't do it. Because if you do, I promise you, Crow, I will step into your dreams in the night, take hold of your consciousness from the inside, twist it in my hands like putty, snap it in half like a twig, and then I'll simply leave you shattered, mere pieces and fragments in an endless void of your now broken mind. The man you once were will be no more. No one you know will know you any longer. Don't do it. Shells, do you know that it was your input that decided the very day that I would do this stream? I want you to know that. So thank you for your input. When I asked when to do a stream, you told me, and now I'm doing it. So everyone can thank Shell for that. Crow, how do you only bomb the bad people in your country? I don't get it. I'm glad you enjoyed that, Hood Pope. Midnight Masquerade. I think that you can refer to me as a dream savage. That might be one of the best things anyone has ever said about me. I appreciate it. I long to be a superhero. That's one of my life dreams. Joe asks if I watched cartoons as a child. Which ones? That's a good question. I once nearly got into a fight over a Voltron lunchbox. It was back in the days when the first Power Rangers series was coming out. And my brother and I was in fourth grade. In the cafeteria, my little brother he had a Voltron lunchbox that we used to kind of share. We'd go back and forth with it. It was very cool. I still can picture it in my head. And one day, some little kid said, "What is that lunchbox? Why is that copying off of Power Rangers? That's just fake Power Rangers," referring to Voltron, something that predated the Power Rangers by a great deal. And mind you, this is during the first earliest days of the Power Rangers airing in the US. And I might not have been fourth grade. I might have been slightly older or slightly younger. But this kid was making fun of my brother's lunchbox, saying that Voltron was copying off the Power Rangers when clearly it was the other way around. And back in those days, I had a rage in my heart that had not yet been tamed the way it is now. And I nearly started a fight with that child. It's not so bad because I was also a child myself, but it's not something I'm proud of either. I would like to rid the world of all evil. That would be a very good thing, but unfortunately, it's impossible. It will never happen in our lifetimes, and not sure that it'll ever happen in anyone's lifetime. We would probably lose the entire world in the process if that ever were to be even a figment, even a thing that could be reached for. I don't mean to sound hopeless, but people are people. I believe they always will be. Shells asked, "What's my most annoying pet peeve?" I don't know. I really have to think about that. Wait, is somebody not sure? Good night. Okay. Good night. Somebody not sure. I'm glad you find this experience as entertaining as I do. Anyone who's going to sleep, good night. I wish you guys pleasant dreams. By the way, speaking of creepypastas, recently I played the voice of the Candyman on Unit 522. He had a Candyman versus Slenderman video that was written by a friend of his that was actually really fun to do. So if you guys haven't seen that, please check it out. And that was really a lot of fun. It was my first real character performance, I think. King, good night. Somebody not sure, good night. Mist, advance, good night. And may your nights be full of dreams. I appreciate you guys coming by. This is very encouraging to me. The stream is so active. I'm very grateful to you guys. It seems like a lot of people are going to bed. I still have my brothers and sisters over in the UK and in Australia and England. That's definitely a plus to have people all the way over there. You guys make sure you share with your local friends and family, because share the videos with them, because my views from that area of the world are a little lonely, few and far between. But with your help and your power, we can bring Mr. X into the ears of many Australians, many Englishmen and women, people all over Europe and the UK. I'm looking forward to that day. Son of Anarchy, no problem. I appreciate you wanting to be shouted out too by me. That means a lot. Majarakan King, if that's how you pronounce it. You came in late. Are you already leaving? If you are, that's fine. I don't mind. Have a great night. Crow, you can't sleep. I hope I didn't scare you. Phil M, hi from the UK. Hi back from not so sunny South Florida. Oh, Becca B from Sweden. I don't think there's anybody else that I know of from Sweden. I have to think back really hard. I think there might be one or two. If you are from Sweden and you're not Becca B, let me know so that I don't leave you out. But welcome, Becca. I like that name. Story time, Shells. We'll see in a minute. I might end with that story. Hooded Pope is still wide awake. Huckabuck, you won't be disappointed. You added that Candyman versus Slender Man video. That's definitely fun. By the way, I play the Candyman in that video, in that story, and it's quite the battle between me and Slender Man. Yeah, yeah, Joe. My childlike rage was strong that day. Son of Anarchy, your dad said he hates you. It really depends on whether you're a child or a man. If you're a child, I feel very sorry for you, but I also will tell you that whatever it is that you're going through with your father, survive it, get through it, and become a man who would never say that to his child. Only then will you have victory. If you're a grown man, then that's sad, but I know you'll survive it either way. Thanks for the compliment, Phil. I'm glad you enjoyed the channel. Majarakan King. Yes, the stream's not quite over yet. Emperor of the Universe, Hood Pope. You honor me too much. That is an extremely lofty title. Crow, are you insinuating that you would rip my mind to pieces? I don't think you understand my powers. It's okay, though. You will. Dark waters, burning the midnight oil, I see. Where do I see my channel in 1 year? In 1 year, I hopefully will have a couple of more subscribers, a couple more dozen videos under my belt, and maybe a couple dozen more of these live streams, because this is really fun. I really am enjoying this. Talking off the cuff and not having to look at a script and do editing. It's really liberating, I'll say. In a year, I hope that I am much closer to the subscribers that I have. I hope to have a larger subscriber family, and that I won't have disappointed anyone in all that time. That would be very nice. And if I could just be completely over the top and get every wish that I really want, in a year, I would have quit my day job and become a full-time YouTuber. Unlikely as that may be, it would be the most awesome thing of all time, in my opinion, to devote all my time toward doing this thing that I love. That would be great. That's a good question, Dark Waters. Thank you for asking, because I never really thought about that. All right, let's see. Let's see what else we got here. All right. Just getting out of middle school. That's very sad, son of anarchy. But like I said, if you ever doubt yourself, remember, son of anarchy, I believe in you. And I bet many of this family of subscribers, these followers and listeners, we all believe in you as well. You're not alone. Grow up to be a man greater than your father. I say the same advice to every child, every boy. Whoever you are, grow up to be greater than your parents were. Whether you love them, whether they love you or not, that should be a high-level goal in your mind. If you do that, no one can say otherwise. No one can say that you're not doing your best. No one can accuse you of not being the best human being you can be. Remember that, son of anarchy. You can do it. My favorite song, I don't have one. I have lots of songs that I like, none of which really come to mind right now. Have I caught them all, Joe? Once upon a time, back when there were only 151, yes, I did. And thank you for the encouragement, Joe. Yes, you see, Son of Anarchy, if you look at what Dark Waters had to say, he's echoed what I said. Be a better man. Phil, my thoughts on UFOs. In a few minutes, I'm going to close with a story that you guys will, I hope you'll enjoy. Corpse husband is in the house. All right. Welcome, my friend. If anybody doesn't know, Corpse husband is by far the most subscriber that I have. He's at the top of my list as far as popularity. It's an honor to have you here, sir, being a forerunner of this wonderful and whimsical world of narration community on YouTube. Another person, he's definitely in the running for world's deepest voice. And I think he and I are probably neck and neck in that. Yes. Thank you, Midnight Masquerade, for helping with, help jumping in and support Son of Anarchy, because I think every word of encouragement is welcome. Would I go on a paranormal investigation? Dark Waters asks. Dark Waters, if I were out there in your area and you penciled me into your busy schedule to go on a paranormal investigation with me, I would do it. Because I am not familiar with the techniques of protecting yourself that I know that you are in your experience. So we definitely, we would have to tag team that one, Dark Waters. I don't think I'm ready to face the big leagues on my own like that. And I'm sure you'd be happy to come through for me there. Becca B, good night. and may your nights be full of dreams, my friend. Swedish dreams. Crow, what would you like to talk about after the stream? Send me a message on Twitter. The Hood Pope. Everybody's being very supportive to our friend Son of Anarchy. Very nice. I'm glad to see this, guys. That's what I like, having this family of supporters, people who will come through if they see somebody with a problem, somebody who needs help. You guys are all people that will speak up and speak out and help this individual. That's very encouraging. It's very heartening for me to see. So thank you guys, each and every one of you. Thank you, Corpse. It's very nice of you to say. I appreciate that. All right, let's see here. The Hood Pope. Would I rather fight the Hulk or the Thing? Unfortunately, in this world, I don't have the physical capabilities necessary to fight the Hulk or the Thing. If I had the powers that I desire, the powers that I imagine Mr. X would have in a world where the Hulk would exist, I think I could probably defeat both of them. Because Mr. X, his true strength lies within the mind. And if I could take their mind, then it doesn't matter how strong the body is. That's a good question. Very difficult one, but I happen to have the correct tools under my belt. Do I believe in Bigfoot? What I believe is that there are many things in this world that are hidden in plain sight. For some reason, there's not as much video or photo evidence of Bigfoot than I would expect for something that's as common as people say it is, but unless there's a way to prove something doesn't exist, which, by the way, there's not, I lack the hubris it takes to make such a claim. I'm not going to claim that I know one way or the other. So, I have no reason to or not to believe in Bigfoot. I haven't personally had any experiences with it either. Good question, though. Thank you, Midnight Masquerade. Huckabuck, we'd be happy to have you riding shotgun, and I hope that you would also bring a shotgun. Not that it would help us against any ghosts, but you never know. X Chemical, thank you for your advice. I hope Son of Anarchy is reading all these, but Son of Anarchy, it's 1 a.m. and you're in middle school, but it's also Saturday, so you may feel free to do whatever you want. I'm not going to dictate that because I'm honestly lacking the authority to do so. Yes, Dark Waters. Have I seen Bigfoot during my military time? No. Dogman. Yes, I think. As I said earlier in the stream, Dark Waters, you're the one who actually, I don't know if I ever told you this, but you're the one who first told me about the Dogman. Before you mentioned it to me, I had never heard of the Dogman before. And thinking back on the military experience that I had, seeing the 2 gigantic canines attacking this poor man trying to ride a motorcycle through the snow, that's what made me realize that what I saw was most likely a Dogman. or a couple of them anyway. Joe coming through with more advice for Son of Anarchy. Thank you. Keep an eye on this stream, Son of Anarchy. I think you'll find all the encouragement you need for tonight. Let's see, Huckabuck. Do I think I'll survive a dream attack from Freddy Krueger? Now that is the question. An excellent one. I would definitely, I think I would like to encounter Freddy Krueger in my dreams, because I happen to have the ability to, number one, survive death in the dream, and number two, occasionally obtain godlike powers. So I'd like to see how that goes. That's a good question, Dark Waters. I don't know that, I don't think Corpse has ever done any radio interviews, but I don't see why he wouldn't want to. I'll let him answer for himself, though. One of these days, I'm going to wrangle him for a collaboration. That'll be fun. Midnight. You went through the same thing as Son of Anarchy. That's sad. Okay, I see. You're in Pacific time, Son of Anarchy. 10:13, that's not bad. Showing love, that's good. Drone video. Special Forces. Now, Huckabuck, my friend, you know I can't answer that. Who do I want to win between Freddy Krueger or Jason? Jason is not a creature from the dream world. Freddy Krueger is. It would be a lot more difficult for me to defeat Jason physically. Although I'm probably much larger than he is, I'm not an immortal psychopathic murderer. So I think I'd stand a better chance against Freddy Krueger, believe it or not. Dreams and nightmares happen to be my specialty as well. The Hood Pope, if I was in your dreams and I saw you fighting Freddy Krueger, I would just wait and see what you did, see how well you do before I jumped in. And if I had to jump in, I definitely would. I'd save your life, easily, because I can't go letting someone die when they think that I should be Emperor of the Universe. That's a big fan to have on my side. I'd like to think I would defeat Freddy Krueger midnight. And Phil, yes, pizza is one of my favorite foods. And I appreciate your support, midnight. All right, folks. It's just about time for me to end this stream for now. I don't know how long it's been, how long I've been doing this, but I'm going to tell you guys a quick story about one of the earliest bizarre and unexplainable incidents that's ever happened to me. It involves several different elements that you'll see very soon. You're gonna have to give me a second to get into the mindset of this. Again, just like everything else that I've done and said today, it's a totally different feel from my normal stories because it's all unrehearsed, it's unedited, it's uncensored, undoctored, unchanged. And most of it, honestly, I haven't even thought of before in such a way that would prepare me for this experience, which I'm actually surprised that I've done this well, that I'm able to speak so fluently right now, because this is very, feels natural, feels comfortable, and you guys are really making it easy for me to speak and just open up and say what I have to say to you. So thank you guys for that. Oh, Dark Pasta, if you see a spirit in your room, whether or not it messes with you is entirely up to it. I really have no idea what type of things are showing up in your room, but I hope that they have no ill will toward you. All right, story time. Settle in for a second there, guys. Okay, so back when I was about 9 years old, I was in we used to do this thing back with my family. We'd be at my grandmother's house every year around Christmas time. It wasn't Christmas Day just yet, but me and my cousins and my brother, we would all be there playing together. So there were 6 of us, including me. My 2 older cousins, they're both female. One is 2 years older than me, the other's 3 years older. Then there was me, and my cousin who was a year younger than me, my brother a year younger than him, and then another cousin a year younger. So there's 6 of us. I'm basically the middle child of these 6 children, if you order us from oldest to youngest. So, wait a second. I'm glad you guys are looking forward to this. All right, I'm just going to go through the story. I'll look at the comments later, afterward. Okay, so there's 6 of us children at my grandmother's house. I'm the middle child. There are 3 children younger than me, 2 older. I'm about 9 or 10 years old at the time. We're out in front of the front door, and we're kind of just hanging out. We're all just standing in a group, talking and laughing and joking around. All of a sudden, I look up. I'm the first person to see this in the sky. Not even in the sky, just about 20 feet above us, if that. It was close enough to where I could have thrown a rock, even at my young age, and hit this object. The object was like a black football floating in the sky, maybe 10 to 15 feet wide. And around the edge of it, there was like a rim. Around where the rim would be of the football were green, red, and blue lights flashing in different, seemingly hypnotic order, kind of going around the rim of this object. It was all black, like a matte black, very smooth surface, but non-reflective. And it was floating just next to some trees, palm trees. This is in South Florida, of course. Actually, it's only about 2 miles from where I'm sitting right now, which is really odd because I no longer live in this area. I just noticed that. That's a really bizarre coincidence that I'm telling this story and I'm so close to that spot. But I remember, at my young age, I was a very logical child, and I've grown into a logical man. I was thinking to myself, wait a minute, this aircraft that's suspended just above us, it makes no noise. Where's the noise? Why is there no wind? No wind or no propulsion energy or anything coming from this craft. Somehow, there was absolutely no sign of it being in existence except for just us visibly being able to see it. So, this object was up there, and we were just all staring at it, and I noticed that the sky just beyond the outer edges of the object started to kind of darken, almost like the sky was turning from broad daylight. It was broad daylight outside. I forgot to mention that detail. It was about 3 p.m. Broad daylight outside, bright sky blue, clear skies. But looking up at the black object, the entire sky seemed to be dark. I still don't understand how that was possible. So we're all mesmerized. We're all looking up at this object for an unknown amount of time. And then suddenly, we're all turned around, facing the door of the house. Everyone is still standing there right where we were, but we're facing 180 degrees the opposite direction. And my uncle is standing outside the front door, holding a turtle with a cracked shell. Now, here's the weird thing. This is a true story, by the way, if you're wondering. The weird thing is that I know in my mind that my uncle he found that turtle in the backyard and he brought it out to show us, but the turtle fell out of his hand and cracked its shell. But I don't remember seeing that. I just know that it happened. That's how the turtle got its shell cracked. My only memory is of him holding the turtle with the cracked shell. And suddenly it's daytime again, and we're standing there looking at this turtle with a cracked shell. Eventually he goes back inside and tosses the turtle back into the lake. Or not tosses it, but he lets it back into the lake. There's a lake in the backyard of where my grandmother used to live. So that's probably a little bit difficult to follow because there's some things happening in my environment right now that are a little distracting, but I'm going to keep pushing forward. Sorry if it's a little confusing. If it helps anybody, I'll probably be making a video about this one day, and it'll all be in chronological order and perfectly descriptive. So this is just off the cuff, off the top of my head retelling of this situation. So moving on. After the entire thing with the turtle goes away, it's all done, I start asking my cousins and my brother, hey, did you guys see that? Yeah, we saw it. That black football looking thing in the sky. Yeah, with the lights. Yes, we were all there. We saw it. So every time we had a get together, which is maybe 3 or 4 times a year where we would all be there at my grandmother's house, we would always talk about it. And this happened for 2 or 3 years. We would get together and say, man, do you guys remember that spaceship that we saw? Now, remember, I have 2 cousins that are older than me and 3 that are younger. One day, maybe 2 or 3 years after the first time we saw it, we're all talking about this spacecraft that we saw. And the youngest one of us, my cousin, he says, what are you guys talking about? All of a sudden, he doesn't remember. He has no clue. We're desperately trying to remind him and convince him that this is something that happened. And he has no recollection of this very bizarre event that we all talked about for years. It's to no avail. We can't convince him that this is something that happened. Now, the next youngest one, my brother, the following year, we're talking about this. And now my brother also doesn't remember it. He's saying, what are you guys talking about? I don't remember that at all. We're saying, hey, how could you not remember this? We were all there. The 4 of us remember, and now you 2 little guys don't remember it somehow. What's going on? The next year, we come back. And all three of the younger cousins, the younger ones than me, have all forgotten about this incident. We keep trying to remind them and trying to jog their memories, to no avail. Nothing we do or say will convince them that this is a thing that really happened. So I started to see a pattern, starting from the youngest and on up. Every year, one of us would forget that this thing happened to us. I don't know how much time we lost. We were too young to understand that when this, on the day that we actually saw this craft, we were too young to really be keeping track of time and to understand if, yeah, this was 3 p.m. before we saw it, and then afterwards it was 5 p.m. So we lost 2 hours, for example. No one really knows how much time that we actually lost. I know that we lost time because we kind of just blinked into the moment where the turtle with the cracked shell was being presented to us by my uncle. So I know we lost some time, but I don't know how much. So basically, I gathered that it was my turn to forget. Now, here's the really weird part. The part that I hesitate to tell people sometimes because it's really bizarre. One night, I was having a nightmare that these monsters were taking over the world. They were basically phasing into reality. And I was in the back of a vehicle where my father was driving madly through the streets of this city, trying to get away from these monsters. I was looking out the window at skyscrapers, and I would see gigantic hulking demons bursting through the sides of these skyscrapers as if they just materialized in the middle of them and busted their ways out. It was terrifying. Glass and concrete falling from the sky and colliding with our vehicle. My dad swerving back and forth, trying to get through on the highway. And as I'm having this nightmare in full on, complete terror, I started thinking to myself, this can't be happening. This has to be a dream. And as I'm thinking that, I start to fade away within the dream. I fade slowly until I'm actually awake in bed. But I happen to be suffering from sleep paralysis. I look over at the clock. The clock says 2:36 a.m. Staring at the clock, then I realize that there's a metallic flavor in my mouth. I don't know what it is. I turn my eyes, and suddenly on top of me, sitting on my chest and placing this bizarre instrument in my mouth, is a shriveled, humanoid, tiny man. He had gigantic black eyes, no discernible mouth, and slits for nostrils, no pronounced nose either. Very skinny, emaciated, humanoid form sitting on my chest. Once I laid my eyes on him, he was shocked, startled. He withdrew the device from my mouth and just stared at me in terror. All I could do was move my eyes. I looked at my clock, 2:36 a.m. And then suddenly, just with the same speed and fluency as if it was turning from 2:36 to 2:37, the clock went straight to 6 a.m. and the creature on my chest was gone, and suddenly I could move. And I can't help but think that that event, me interrupting something, whatever was going on, somehow enabled me to retain my memories of that incident, seeing that spacecraft. And for a long time after that, my two older cousins retained their memories as well. But now it seems like, for whatever reason, I'm the only one who remembers. Whenever I talk about it with someone, one of my remaining cousins that did remember, it seems like they just don't have the heart to tell me they can't remember what I'm talking about. It's a really weird feeling. But that's one of the earliest things that happened to me that were out of the ordinary, things that I couldn't explain, that were just really bizarre. And it's almost embarrassing how strange it is. I mean, it incorporates what seem to be aliens, lost time, maybe a glitch in the matrix here or there, sleep paralysis, nightmares. It's all rolled up into one. So I really wonder, what in the world happened to me? So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed that little story. It was a little disjointed and a little all over the place because honestly, I didn't give enough thought to actually telling it out the way I would in a normal video. But hey, at least you know it was fluent and honest. Whoever's still watching, I'm glad you guys are here. This is a really momentous occasion for me. I mean, my first stream, I got almost every one of my favorite YouTubers on here. Even got the magnificent Dark Waters on here. I even got the hugely popular Corpse Husband, my most famous subscriber by a long shot. I'm honored by you guys all coming through and spending some time with me. Thank you so much. And I really cannot wait to do this again. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. I'm glad that you interacted so much, that you came through to help each other out when the need arose. I know I can count on you guys again for this to happen sometime in the future. So, in closing, thank you again. If anybody wants to know when these things are happening, follow me on Twitter. That's where I post all the updates. I know it was really late. It was really much later than I had initially planned. I got stuck in traffic down in Miami, making my way back this way, and it was really kind of a pain getting here. But I'm glad I did it. I'm glad that you guys were here to support me, and I I can't thank you guys enough. Mysterious 5, we're working together pretty soon. Glad to have you. Glad to have you here as well. Looking forward to that. Shells, you're awesome. And like I said, you guys can thank Shells for giving me the idea of doing this stream on a Saturday night. I am actually really hungry, and I'm probably going to eat something very soon. Thank you very much, Penny, for the comment. I enjoyed the stream. The stream was amazing. And I cannot wait to do it again. Phil, M, thank you. Sile Wolf, thank you. Hood Pope, thank you. Midnight Masquerade, Son of Anarchy, X Chemical, Joe. Anyone else who I haven't seen, Dark Pasta, XWEH, whatever that is. Majarakan King, all of you guys are awesome. Thank you so much. And I am going to sign off. because I am really, really hungry. Good night, everyone, my dear friends, and may your nights be full of dreams